So on today's show, we did not talk about Russia. We did not talk about Vladimir Putin. We did not talk about Donald Trump's comments at Helsinki. We did not talk about his comments following his initial comments at Helsinki. We didn't talk about particular words that were used, would and wouldn't, the backtracking and the doubling down and the backing off and all that kind of stuff. We didn't talk about any of that. We did reference briefly that Trump wants to meet with Vladimir Putin in the White House, and we referenced briefly Dan Coates' response to that while he was on stage with Andrea Mitchell. So we talked briefly about it, but we didn't talk in any detail about that today. Instead, what we talked about was the impossibility that we see today in keeping up with current positions that liberals take on issues. For example, we talked about meddling and interfering with elections. Conservatives, average Americans, reasonable folks think that it's bad for anyone who's not an American citizen to interfere with or meddle in the election process. Far leftist liberals seem to only be concerned about the Russians. Of course, that's because of their incessant narrative of Trump-Russian collusion. But nonetheless, they're not concerned about things like illegal aliens voting. In fact, the city of San Francisco just allowed illegal aliens to legally vote. So literally, as this is going on, all this talk about interfering with and election integrity, we have illegal aliens being given the right to vote in San Francisco. So we talk about that. And we talk about some other issues as well that are difficult to following this liberal logic, I suppose you could say. We also talk a little bit about this incident on the floor of the House of Representatives yesterday where they're chanting USA, USA, USA. I'm sure some of these far radical leftists never dreamed they would be uttering this phrase, chanting the words USA, but nonetheless, they were chanting that yesterday for political purposes. They were trying to say that they were defending America's election integrity process and so forth. And again, literally, this was going on as San Francisco is allowing illegal aliens to vote. So we talk about that and unpack that. I also talk briefly about an email I received from Organizing for America, Obama's organization. Yes, this is the organization that my friends have put me on this distribution list, this email list. And we talk about a phrase in there, strengthening democracy, that Obama's Organizing for America uses, and we compare and contrast that with defending liberty. So we talk about that. We also wrap up the week by giving an update on where we stand with this interview that I have on Fox News. As you know, earlier this week on Wednesday, Mike Tobin of Fox News came to the studio, interviewed me. That interview was supposed to air today, but he's been called on special assignment for some news that's developed, and he is going to be unable to do that story today, so it's been postponed until next week. I will keep you updated as to when that interview will air. If you would like to receive automatic updates as to where that interview stands in the process and when it will air and so forth, or if you want to find some information out about kind of the background story, which I've written some information about this, posted some pictures. For those on this email list, all you have to do is go to toddhuffradio.com/newsletter, punch in your email address, and you'll be updated automatically, and you'll know a little bit about the backstory, which I find fascinating to tell. But also, you'll be updated when this interview is finally scheduled to air. But guys, that is it. That does it for this week. We're wrapping up. Have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday. Take care.